refreshing because I'm trying to. I want to be able to, so I don't miss like chat and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course.
There it is. Okay.
Got it. I'm gonna try to see if it's working on my account too.
Okay. And then I'm gonna mute the tab so that I can.
Hi guys. Okay, let's see.
Okay, there we go.
Should be working.
Yeah,
I wish I could figure out this overlay thing. It's driving me crazy. But it's okay.
Oh, the little like purple rectangle.
Oh yeah, do you see it? Oh no.
Yeah, nah, it's whatever.
No. Wait, why is it like that? Well, if anybody's here, hello. We haven't done this in a while, so.
Oh, there's the overlay.
Got some minor technical difficulties today.
It may have sent to you as a JPEG instead of a PNG, which might be why it doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
Because I keep it as a PNG file. But anyway,
well, we
have a crazy episode to talk about.
I know.
And not a ton of time.
Yeah. So we're gonna try to do it very quickly. But we would love for anyone else who's checking it out to chime in, say what you feel about it, and we would love to just talk about everything that we saw and that was thrown at us, which was kind of a lot. And I actually didn't expect the ending to be the way that it was. That was pretty surprising, actually.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree.
And also, I brought my... Sorry, I'm still trying to adjust this. I brought my little king with me. Yay!
Nice. So, on my end, I have what I just got in the mail the other day. I have my Grudgby jacket.
Oh, no way!
With the E and the gold star on it for my Luce cosplay for next weekend.
Awesome.
It's her look from the middle of season 2B when she competed in the Bonesboro Brawl all the way up until they entered Belos Mindscape and so on.
I want to see that so badly.
That's awesome. It's like the Grudgby jacket with the jean shorts.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. I opted to get it off of Etsy instead of getting the one from the Mystery Shack because I just think this one looks more authentic.
Yeah. That's awesome, Steven. You just got it recently?
Yeah, it just came in the mail a couple days ago. Like, they have one on the Mystery Shack, but it's cool, but it doesn't look as authentic.
Yeah.
So anyway, we have an episode to go over, and we had already seen like the first 6 minutes with like the new intro and everything.
Yeah.
Good night, Mason.
You say goodnight to your daddy.
But we had already seen that, so we had got to see the intro and the first little segment, and I mean, like, what jumped out at me right away was just how much Dana just went in on Disney. Like, there was so much, like, they called it Lumity Studios, and they had, like, all the, like, the pictures, and it was all these things that they couldn't put into the show because of the time constraints, because they didn't get a full third season. So, like, all their adventures on Earth, you know, or in the human realm for so long that, you know, didn't get made into episodes. And I think that, you know, it was really cool that they did that because we were able to see a lot of things that we wouldn't have seen otherwise.
Yeah, definitely. And definitely, I mean, it made me kind of, like, wish that we could have experienced, like, that whole summer that they spent together, like, spending time together, becoming close friends. I mean, I feel like V is now, like, officially part of the group, which is really cute and cool to see. And I love how much, like, Hunter and Gus have seemed to develop and, like, branch out and find their own interests. And I mean, that cute little montage of all of them just like exploring the human world and like spending a summer together was something that I found to be really, really charming and sweet and like really rewarding for the fandom. I think that they really did us a service with that. Like, they were like, these are the moments that the fandom wants to see and might not get a chance to see. Like, kind of like piggybacking off of what you said. I know I at least really appreciated it a lot. And I wish we could have seen more, honestly. Oh, are you there, Steven?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
So, like, another thing, so, like, first of all, like, I loved the representation and the fact that Dana continued to push the LGBT with, you know, like, Luce coming out to her mom, and her mom gives them this great big hug. Gus brings up all these rainbow illusions, like, and then Camila wears the pride pin on her shirt.
Mm-hmm.
For the remainder of the episode, and it was really cool just to see her embrace Luce coming out like that with open arms, you know. And as we go, like, and I'll go more in depth on Camila's character throughout the course of this episode, because, like, there was so much of her that we got to learn about.
Yeah.
But really about all the characters that were in the realm, so, you know, like Luce, Hunter, Willow, Gus, Amity, V, and Camila. And, you know, some other characters we saw on the side, and we learned some other really cool stuff. Some theories got proven, some things got potentially disproven. Some surprises came out. It was, you know, but it's kind of interesting to me the way they did it. Just that, you know, like, it amazed me in such a great way how well they were able to, like, portray the time they spent together in the episodes that they did not get to make without skipping out on anything important from the plot of this episode or going forward, I feel like. And I think they ended up setting us up in a really good place going forward, which is not an easy task when they had 44 minutes to give us, you know, 10 episodes worth of content. You know, they had 20% of what they should have had.
Oh, yeah. And, like, I don't think any of us were expecting, like, a time skip like that. I mean...
Well, and I think it was necessary because of that. But that's what, you know, the montage at the beginning and that early scene right away where they're talking to Camila about what happened, and Luce is afraid that they're going to find out that she, you know, is the reason that Bellows met the Collector, and Hunter's afraid that they're going to find out he's a Grimwalker. And, you know, like that, I feel like that's right after they get back, but then there's that first night, but then it does time skip, like you said.
Yeah, and it does time skip.
You can see with the design of the characters, too.
Yeah, I know, and I loved that attention to detail, and I actually feel like, you know, it's really essential, the fact that they put so much emphasis on how Luce and Hunter have been, like, sharing their experience with both still being emotionally affected by everything that happened, and, like, the way that they're processing everything that they found out. Like, Luce is obviously dealing with, you know, she's feeling this huge, immense amount of guilt, and on top, which I don't think she should be feeling, but, you know, that's what she's struggling with. Whereas Hunter is still dealing with his identity and, you know, thinking he's one thing his whole life and realizing something different, and still having that connection to Bellows that he obviously doesn't want to have. And if you think about it, they kind of share a trauma by both having a connection to Bellows in a sense. So I think that little moment with them, where it was, like, my favorite moment in the premiere episode, actually, where Hunter just starts, like, crying and breaking down after Luce is like, Hunter, your family now.
Your family now.
Like, that moment for me was, like, so emotional and so important, because, like, they definitely share, like, this bond now. And I kind of view, like, Hunter and Luce as almost like a brother and sister type of, like, relationship at this point.
That's how I see them, you know.
Sure.
Kind of like I see Hunter and Gus to be, like, brothers.
Yeah,
but,
they are, yeah.
You know, I mean, like we all knew Gus was gonna go crazy seeing all the stuff in the Noseda house, you know, because he's obsessed with the human world and, you know, with, you know, all the stuff they have, and so naturally he was going to become interested in that. But I think, you know, like the moment you mentioned with Hunter, you know, they had the classic horror movie trope where there's, like, the cabinet and something's inside it and they're freaking out and it just turns out to be an animal.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's so, like, that was it was just like, you know, it's going to be something ridiculous, and of course it was.
Yeah.
It was just an animal.
But,
like, you know, it just kind of, I feel like pretty early on in the episode, I think they they touched base on pretty much confirming that, at least as far as we'll ever see, I would imagine that the shack-like house that the portal door was in, because they were sprucing it up, and that's where they were hanging out part of the time, I think they pretty much confirmed that was the Wittebane home in the 1600s because of the map thing that they found underneath the wooden floor, and Flapjack knew where it was.
Yep.
And that was the first instance we got, I think, that was like, hey, BT Dubs, when Philip and his brother went into the demon realm, they have returned, or, since then, and then went back into the demon realm, implying that it's not that Philip never got back to the human realm. He came back, was the implication, and then chose to return again, or his brother or whatever. More on that in a bit. But that they did come back, they did make the portal, it was functional, they did use it, and then they went back to the demon realm.
Yeah.
Or a portal of some kind, if nothing else, presumably if it was the one that that Ida had, or whatever, and it's like, it wouldn't be that far-fetched for it to have been the same one, because Flapjack knew where this was.
Yeah.
And unless the personal scent from someone stayed there for 400 years, I mean, I don't know how Palisman work with that kind of thing. Like, I have to believe that they were back, and there is more evidence to show that later in the episode. But that was kind of the first thing that was like, so maybe it wasn't that he never could get home. Maybe it was that he could get home. But he, like, it sounds to me like it wasn't about making a portal anymore. Like when he talked about it, when Philip in his diary talked about all that remains is to seek out the collector. It's like, well, at that point, I think he had a working portal because he was able to use it. And I don't think he had it for very long, is the thing.
Yeah.
And again, we kind of get into that going forward, but that was a very early thing. And what it ended up decoding into was, it ended up being kind of like a cipher. And it was really interesting because it just proved more evidence that that Philip or his brother had been in the human realm after they went to the demon realm.
Yeah. Which is pretty crazy. Like, because that kind of means that they sort of went back and forth. I mean, they also had those statues of them, too. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
part?
The statues, we saw them in this episode. We also saw them back in the middle of season 2. In the episode where we were introduced to V. And, when Hunter saw that, he was looking at it like, you could tell he was deeply uncomfortable, and he definitely, I think, could tell that one of those was who he was cloned after.
Yeah, I mean, it must be hard to find out that you're literally cloned after, like, this super evil entity who's been ruining all your friends' lives and lying to you, and I feel like Hunter went through so much trauma.
Well, but the thing is, he isn't cloned after that person, and that's...
Well, no, he's cloned after someone who's related.
He's cloned after the brother.
Yeah.
And in Belos' Mindscape, we see, in Hollow Mind, we saw numerous pictures of the real, who I have to believe was the real brother and not one of the Grimwalker. And... the fact that we saw him there and we saw, and we saw Philip, and it as the pictures in that progressed, Philip grew more disdain for his brother, it seemed, while his brother seemed to be happy and trying to show him things or introduce him to people or whatever it was. And the fact that something like that, the fact that Philip became upset was clearly, he did not feel the way that his brother did.
Oh, yeah, not at all.
you know, and it makes sense looking at the story. And in the finale for season 2, when Flapjack flew by, Bellows had like a vision in his mind, and he said Caleb. And of course, that's where Disney messed up the subtitles, and the subtitles said kill him. It's like, no, Dana Terrace confirmed he said Caleb, which was the first instance we learned that was presumably his brother's real name, which we now know is true.
Yep. Which now your theories are true, and the theory about Caleb, I guess presumably falling in love with a witch, is also true, apparently.
Well, and as we got into the episode, we learned about that. They go on the haunted hayride, and there are some bits leading into that, because the little cipher map, I forget what the term is they used for it, but it led the decode was Tans, and then blood. Like their blood. So it was Titan's blood, which they had Titan's blood in the human realm, which once again says, if not both, at least one of the Wittabanes came back into the human realm and left that there.
Yeah. That little puzzle was cracking me up, though.
That little vial of Titan's blood, the little stopper, the cork in the top of it, looked like it had Hootie on it.
Really?
Yeah, it had an owl head on it. Which is really interesting, because I don't think that's something that Ida would have left there. So, especially given the location.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who would have left it there, because my thought is that if it was Philip, he would have immediately known where to go.
True.
And, of course, the fact that he did indeed survive as that slimy goop, he possessed the deer that caused that car accident.
Yeah, that was scary.
And we all, and then he started to possess Hunter, and that poor kid can't catch a break.
That poor kid. I cannot watch any more things happen to Hunter. Like, it's like tearing my heart apart. Like, I can't.
He did stand up for himself. He said, "I'd like to be a student at Hexside. I'd like to live a normal teenage life."
Yep.
But most of all, he'd like to make sure that no one could ever hurt him again.
Yeah.
And he dove into the water, and this was a dark moment, because I don't think he had any intention of coming to the surface. This reminded me a lot of, and this was actually pointed out to me, but upon looking at it, I agree. This reminded me a lot of in Steven Universe, when Lapis agreed to fuse with Jasper and pulled them both under the ocean as Malachite. And basically sacrificing herself, at least at the time, even though she was still alive, because she was a gem and didn't need to breathe underwater.
Is so
basically
funny.
Sacrificing herself to subdue an enemy, to prevent that enemy from harming a loved one.
That is so
and
funny.
I think that's, I think that's pretty much what happened. And Camila having another insane moment, diving in and saving him.
Yeah.
And, obviously the aftermath of that was nothing short of heartbreaking.
I can't.
I
was
I had a couple tears roll down my cheek.
Oh, I was a mess. You'll see. I'm putting that video up on Friday. I was embarrassingly a mess. I didn't expect to get that emotional over Flapjack's sacrifice, but I need to hug King for this, because it was like, I was not expecting.
And and we learned who Flapjack's creator was. And it was the same witch who came into the human realm and brought. Apparently, from the story, Caleb went over with the witch, whose name was Evelyn, and Philip followed and went into the demon realm to save his brother, who had turned around and fallen in love with Evelyn, who, I will die on this hill unless it is proven otherwise, was a Clawthorn, or a descendant of the Clawthorns.
I mean, it would make sense.
The name themes are just too much. First of all, it fits for several other reasons. But Edalyn, Gwendolyn, Evelyn.
Yeah.
There's a theme going on here, you guys. There's all L-Y-N at the end of these.
That's true.
Now, I don't know how surnames work in the demon realm, but, as far as marriages and all that, but, the Clawthorn clan is supposed to be, they're palisman carvers. So if she made Flapjack, then it would make sense that Evelyn would be probably a real Clawthorne, implying she would be from Dell's side of the family, Ida's dad. That would not line up with the use of the name Gwendolyn being Ida's mom, but, unless it was merely for foreshadowing. But we don't know, and what we do know is Gwendolyn had said that her great-grandmother told her the story about a human living in Bonesboro who donated his diary. Well, the human who donated his diary was Philip.
Yeah.
But we don't know if Philip ever, fully lived in Bonesboro. He lived in a cave when we saw him. So it's possible that the one that lived in Bonesboro was actually Caleb. I don't know. I think the point in time when they met Philip was after he already had a working portal. I think it was after he'd gone back to the human realm. And, I think Caleb was already gone at that point. I think Caleb was gone. I think Evelyn was gone. I feel like he killed both of them.
You think so?
I think he killed both of them or had them killed.
Yeah.
The way he said he needed a sacrifice to get to the Collector, and he talked about Blue Fang before that. I think he sacrificed multiple people.
Probably. To
try to accomplish his goals. And, I think Caleb could have been one of them. I think Evelyn could have been another. They could have been at the same time, if they were in love. Yeah. And it would also be interesting because it would potentially mean that an ancestor in the Clawthorne lineage would be part human. Which implies that Ida and Lilith would be part human.
Yeah, that's true.
And it could, it could explain some other things down the line. It's interesting, of course, just kind of thinking about all that, because a human and a witch, like a hybrid, or like a half-breed child, I would think, would have the capabilities of both. And I do believe that there are going to turn out to be some advantages to being human that witches don't have, that we just haven't seen yet. And maybe that'll be, I don't know, I think we're kind of done with the human realm until maybe the end of the show, but...
can we talk about how Luce's mom literally was like, I am all ready to go with you. She jumped right into the portal.
Yeah, she watched the video where Luce was gonna permanently stay in the human realm, and she I
was surprised by that.
Not Ida, sorry, Camila saw that and was gonna, and Luce was ready to say so, and Camila just steps in and says, "Take your mother to the demon realm."
I was like, Camila, you badass. She is.
Oh yeah.
She's a badass. She is. First of all, she's a great mom.
Outstanding.
She's so open-minded. Has the biggest heart. Letting all of Luce's magical friends who she came back with just live with her as her own almost.
Yeah, and I love how she walked out of that building and out of the Widowbane shack and was like, "I never thought I'd be the mother of 6."
That was so funny. I was like, Camila, I love you. And then it was I don't know. And just the fact that she's ready to jump right in. I feel like it's very rare in cartoons that they actually just make the mom that ready to get right in on the action. They'll make her strong and a good mom, and I feel like we see so many more progressive loving parents in cartoons now, modern cartoons, but Camila is part of the team now, and it's gonna be really cool to see Luce's mom on the team. I could see her doing damage.
It'll be really cool to see her meet Ida and see the interactions with those two. I loved learning that Camila was a closeted nerd that whole time. She had the Star Trek ripoff or whatever, the knockoff Star Trek books that Gus and Hunter found. And and then we learned that she wasn't the one who wanted to send Luce to the summer camp. It was the principal. We see the audition for Romeo and Juliet, and how much Camila loved it. The way Luce did that. We see that Camila loved seeing Luce express herself. Yeah. Which she did reiterate in the first episode. She says, "We all love that you express yourself."
She loves that Luce herself.
And I think Camila was a lot like that, it sounded like. And the principal's you were teased a lot when you were in school, and it was I feel like he was kind of pressuring Camila to straighten Luce out into closer to more of a neurotypical type, when that's clearly not what Luce is. You know, she's not this, you know, fit the mold, fit inside the box, you know, like, you know, she's more creative. She's more think outside the box. She's a creative kid.
Yeah.
She's got an imagination. And, you know, it really hit me hard and resonated with me when I saw, you know, the people, the principal, you know, the person who is in charge of the school, rather than coming down on the kids for bullying her, came down on the child who was different, because like I went through that when I was in school.
I did too.
And it really was like, it really was so difficult for me going through that.
Yeah, me too. And honestly, it's like, and that's where I feel like, you know, so many people in the fandom could connect to Luce, and just to hear that like her mom had a similar experience, and like the fact that the principal was saying like, oh, well, you know, if you were bullied in school, then it makes sense that your kid must have been bullied. Like that part actually got me upset. Like in my YouTube video, I was like pretty upset about it, because honestly, like, that has nothing to do with the way your kids turn out. I'm sorry. Every person is born as their own individual person, and they shouldn't be conditioned
I 100% agree.
to change parts of themselves, but that's like what society does. And the way this principal was a great example of that, by him telling her like, oh, well, it's because of you, like you having, you know, different out there aspects to you that Luce is like this. Like, that's not true. But it's interesting that they included that in there, because like it kind of gives more insight into maybe why Luce is struggling with all of this, like with these feelings of doubt.
But just the fact that like the faculty of the school came down on the side of, we need to normal her out, you know, we need to like, this is it really took on neurodivergence, and basically, you know, painted the faculty that, rather, you know, that so many of them, rather than trying to understand a child who is different, they went straight into like, you know, this is a disability, this is a disorder, let's fix it.
Yeah.
And when what it should have been was, this child is different, we need to accept that, and we need to learn how to work with her. And, you know, in Luce's case, and, you know, like, again, I went through so much of that with my peers, with the staff in my middle school, my high school, you know, who did not, you know, like, I didn't know what I had at the time, but that's, you know, beside the point, because the point was that I learned differently. I had certain teachers whose classes I did well in because of the way they taught. And then I had others where I struggled to even try to pass a course. And then we don't talk about English Lit. That was my worst subject. But, you know, everyone kind of has their strengths and their weaknesses. And
for sure.
So that really resonated with me. And I loved that they introduced another non-binary character with Masha, who we did meet in Yesterday's Lie. She was the one with the Texas Hold'em deck. They were the one with the Texas Hold'em deck.
Were they the one that they visited?
They were the one working at the Historical Society after the other guy got fired.
Because they got rid of Knockoff Ronaldo.
And there's a clear connection between them and V. That you know, with the blushing and everything. And then they were also the one that told the story of the Wittabanes on the Haunted Hayride.
Yes. For sure. So there could be some development with V and that character as well.
I think I think that's a really cool hint at a potential romance. You know,
for sure.
Whether they progress it or not, you know, like that's it. It's whatever.
Also,
either way,
how cute was V's human form?
Oh, it was adorable. It was absolutely adorable.
Human form?
And, you know, I like that they kept it real in that when they weren't out and about, she did revert to her basilisk form so as to conserve magic by not keeping herself in disguise. Because her disguise using the magic is a lot like a concealment stone, like we saw Edric and Emra use with Amity. So it's... And I also think V's magic draining ability could be incredibly useful against someone like Bellows. I don't know how helpful it would be against a being like the Collector, but I don't think the Collector is going to end up getting defeated necessarily. I think the Collector is just going to kind of realize and learn some things.
Yeah, I
and
don't even
end
know
up
where
befriending
to go.
King, you know, because the Collector reminds me a lot of Hootie in a way. Like early series Hootie.
Yeah.
The Collector is an unknown entity with incredible power who really just seems to want a friend to play games with.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I don't think the Collector realizes their own power.
Yeah.
Or that they're harming people. You know, and I think, you know, with Hootie, it wasn't so much that, it was more that, you know, he didn't realize how much he was irritating people. And he didn't know how not to. But, like, King has seen this before, and I think for King, he doesn't want to be in a fight with someone. He's past the point of wanting to conquer, you know, the world and be a tyrant.
Yeah.
And I think going forward, I think that would be a really cool ending point for them to stay on. And I really hope the two dimensions, the two realms remain open at the end. And I think as long as they have King, that will be possible, because I don't think they would even need his blood. Granted, Hootie did take a sample of it once, but I don't think they even need it. You know, I think he, you know, should be able to use his sonic echo thing to open a portal. If he has the portal, he should be able to power it like that.
Yeah,
we saw where the portal was located in the human realm side. When they walked into it at the end, it was in front of a headstone in the cemetery. And I believe that was Caleb's gravestone. I think what happened is after Caleb was gone, I think Philip wanted to get his remains away from Evelyn and the rest of Witch Kind because he deemed them evil. And I think, you know, so he brought the remains back to the human realm, buried him, probably kept a few bones to make the Grimwalkers. He may have kept the skeleton, honestly. I don't know, because Bone of Ortet is one of the ingredients to Grimwalker, and that would be one of the bones of whoever you're cloning.
Maybe.
So,
but
like, you know, I think that was his gravestone. And, you know, it's like, I love the way Masha put it, too, you know. The way you look at it, big bro got a hot witch girlfriend, little bro got jealous.
Yeah, exactly.
And we learned that Caleb was the older brother.
Yeah, so. And if that, younger brother. Okay.
So I mean, Caleb went into the demon realm with Evelyn. They became a couple. You know, they were having themselves a good old time together, and you know, may or may not have conceived a kid. And Philip didn't like it. He got jealous, and he probably felt very lonely because they said that the Wittebane brothers didn't really fit in. And, you know, it was around the time of the witch trials, so it would make sense, you know, the Connecticut witch trials being in the 1600s. So if they were witch hunters, well, it seems like Caleb decided he was no longer going to be a witch hunter because they found a real witch, and, you know, whether he just like, she's still a person.
Yeah.
Or, you know, whatever, like in his heart, he did what he knew was right. And Philip was still wanting to be a witch hunter, saw the opportunity to do it in real life, and you know, and also was very, very jealous.
Yeah,
I think,
and obviously he
that's what drove him.
Not very open-minded, and he was very anti-witch.
Well, which, I mean, he would have been in the time of a Puritan fundamentalist.
Yeah, which we've.
But
I also, a few times.
I think there's a lot of jealousy over Caleb having a girlfriend, you know, as well as the fact that she was a witch, you know, whereas Philip could have seen that as frustrating that he was alone, but his brother, you know, had chosen to go live with her and not with him.
Yeah.
And, you know, he killed him for it for one reason or another. And one of the screenshots was brought to my attention from Hollow Mind, where you see Caleb with a figure that is awfully resemblant of Ida. Which really makes me wonder, again, it backs up the theory that Evelyn was a Clawthorn or an ancestor of them. And
he texted that to me.
It would also explain why Bellows had such a nasty distaste for Ida in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Because there were other covenless witches that were simply being round up and bound to covens, which is still horrible.
Yeah.
But Ida, for some reason, he had it out for her in the worst way. And I have to wonder if maybe it has something to do with that she may have an extremely strong resemblance to Evelyn.
I mean, that's not unheard of, you know, like there's been certain people who have, you know, had certain people that have treated them ways in their lives and just been like, oh, you remind me of this person, so I just don't like you by default. Like, that's definitely not an unheard of thing.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it in, you know, we've also seen it in other media. We saw it in the show Bleach with Byakuya and Rukia. And, you know, it was kind of a complicated relationship. But, you know, it's definitely a theory for sure that, you know, that's interesting and that I could definitely see jealousy. You don't see it. I don't know. I mean, like the way Masha explained it, like I do feel like there's a good chance, you know, not jealousy that he was with a witch, but jealousy that that Caleb would have essentially abandoned Philip and abandoned them being witch hunters in order to pursue a life in a relationship with a witch.
Yeah, which is, you know, if they were witch hunters, and that's almost like abandoning everything that they stood for. I mean,
yeah, it's abandoning the life they had.
Yeah, and
he didn't want to hunt the witches. He didn't want to come back to the to the human realm. You know, like Caleb didn't fit in. You know, and this goes back to us weirdos need to stick together. You know, like. For Philip, that was he and his brother. For Caleb, it was like when Luce went to the demon realm. He found a home.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I do believe that, you know, there's a very real chance, given the setting, that Luce could permanently live in the demon realm at this point.
Oh, I think
and
so
I think
too.
I think Camila would stay, honestly. I think they'll be able to go back and forth, but we don't know of any immediate family connections since we did learn, of course, we know what happened to her dad.
Yeah.
So it's like we haven't really seen anything. And plus, you know, pretty much any one person has a doppelganger if they need one, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, I think like the dream ending would be for obviously the portals to be open to go between both worlds and for, you know, Luce's family,
I think
that she met in the
for the people who need it, you know, I don't think you like, I'd love to think you could just leave it open completely and no one would use it wrongly. But I think King is gonna be basically like a walking portal.
Yeah, like he's gonna be like the keeper between the worlds who can like
and
go back and forth.
And we did see the in between when the portal opened up in the cemetery. We saw what it was the in between on the other side as opposed to the demon realm directly. And I think the biggest reason they did that wasn't necessarily to make us think that they're going to be stuck in the in between. But I think it's because we don't know what the demon realm looks like right now because of what happened at the end of King's Tide.
That's another thing.
And I don't think they wanted to spoil that. We have no idea what we're going to see on the other side.
A lot of stuff went down in that finale, and we have like no insight into like what Ida's doing, what Lilith is doing. Like, where is Hootie? Where's Hootie been for like half a season?
Yeah,
like there's a lot of
the
stuff
last time we saw Hootie, he was in the Port of Hootie because they took him to an Edge of the World to the Titan Trapper's place, and then when they came back, he protected them. But he hasn't been in the Owl House since then.
Yeah.
So we don't know,
that's so true.
You know, how that's going to work out.
And I would love to see, like what you mentioned before about the Collector, Hootie, and King. They're all kind of in, like, I feel like a very similar category. And I would love to see, like, a parallel between all three of them at some point before the end of the show. Like,
and I think, you know, King is a little different in that he's found a surrogate family, kind of like Luce did.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's the same family. You know, like, I am a little worried. I mean, I'm hoping maybe, given what we just saw happen at the end of the first episode with Flapjack, that maybe it won't. But the thing I got to notice is that at the end of the first season, Ida almost died. And at the end of the second season, it looked like King was about to die.
Yeah.
The third main character is Luce.
Yeah.
So she's going to come dangerously close, I feel like.
Ugh,
Because it's
I
either
hope
Luce
not.
or it's people close to Luce, at which point it would either be Camila or it would be Amity.
Amity,
And
yeah.
I can't bear the thought of anything happening to a child character. I mean, we already had to deal with it with King. You know, like Amity, Dana has, I believe, confirmed that Lumity would not break up.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I'd like to see ideally for them to be able to live for going forward in the future. You know, do I think it's possible that all of which kind loses their magical abilities completely? Yes, I do think that's very possible. They would all have to learn using the glyphs, because that's something that in the demon realm, if they have the Titan, they would not need. In terms of, you don't need the Titan, you need the Titan's blood. But since the Titan itself works for that, that's another reason why I think that the King's power can be enough to power a portal as well. Lucis glyphs worked in the presence of Titan blood and in the human realm.
Yeah, exactly. And we know how powerful King is now at this point. Like,
and
it's just
now Palisman, because that was that moment, you know, that was the Flapjack moment. Every time we saw Belos destroy a Palisman, he inhaled it, including back in the 1600s as Philip.
Mm-hmm.
However, when he destroyed Flapjack, he said goodbye, Evelyn, implying Evelyn made that Palisman, which we know belongs to Caleb now. Whether it belonged to Evelyn before Caleb and maybe Philip killed her first, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, what this does tell me, he did not absorb the energy from the Palisman. He broke him and then just dropped him. Now, the reason I feel like this is important, you know, yes, he's kind of like an undead lich now, instead of having his bodily form. But there's one member of the Emperor's Coven throughout this. We heard that when people join the Emperor's Coven, we learned that. Okay, now, Hootie, not now.
What was that?
We learned that they have, one of the things they have to do is give up their Palisman.
Right.
But Lilith still has hers. She never had to get rid of it.
That's true.
So I kind of wonder if the Clawthorn Palisman don't work on him, if they're made differently. We know that the Clawthorn clan was a clan of Palisman crafters.
Yeah, I mean, the father made Palisman. Like, you were saying that you think maybe, like, the Clawthorn's Palisman were special.
The Clawthorn's Palisman may not work on Belos's on Belos, or they may cause a negative effect on him. And that would explain why he didn't absorb Flapjack's energy. Which, because he could have, and Hunter would have been dead.
Yeah.
And, you know, presumably. And also, Lilith still had her Palisman. So, you know, there's two instances there. Like, it really does not make sense that for those same Palisman to be the same. Like, Belos is rotten enough for one reason or another to do the same thing with with a Clawthorn Palisman. There's no reason he would give them special treatment. If anything, he would be more eager to confiscate them. He also had Albert in his possession at the end of season 1, and he gave it to Lilith and said, "Destroy it."
Oh yeah, Albert.
He did. He could have destroyed Albert right there too.
Yeah.
So that's 3 instances where he could have had a Clawthorn Palisman and didn't take it.
Yeah, he might be.
And didn't absorb the energy.
That is a good theory for sure.
So there's something about those. I feel like they are different.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that seed that Del gave to Ida, if that has something to do with it or whatever, you know, I think that the Clawthorn Palisman are, you know, could hold it, like Albert and the one Lilith has, could be the key to winning the fight against Belos.
That'd be very interesting. I do want to see how, like, I mean, like, again, I feel like that aside, like, we're learning so much about, like, the Clawthorns and, like, the history of, like, the Wittebane brothers, but I feel like we still are not getting anything tied up about, like, who is Hooty and what is his deal, and like how they. Like,
I don't know if we're ever gonna know
Are we
that.
ever
You know,
gonna
I
know?
know
Maybe
someone
Hooty's
had
just,
asked
like,
in
a
Dana's
random-
AMA, like, you know, how long is Hooty, you know, and or how far can he stretch? And she said there is no beginning and there is no end.
Then
There is
maybe
only
he's
Hooty.
just one of those up in the air characters. Like, we're never gonna
Like,
truly understand Hooty.
He's a great enigma.
He's there.
And,
He's an enigma.
You know, and I think that.
Yeah, that's
But
probably.
I think looking back, you know, it's cool because we learned about an ancestral Clawthorn. And again, I'm gonna
For
die on that
sure.
hill unless it's proven otherwise.
Mhm.
On the flip side, and I do remember saying something about this a while back, and like, it sounds like the Wittebane brothers were witch obsessed for one reason or another. Well, so was the guy that got fired from the Historical Society, and I remember theorizing a while back that that dude is a Wittebane descendant. If there is one, there might not be a Wittebane descendant in the human realm.
Mhm.
There might be one in the demon realm. It might, you know, in the Clawthorn lineage. But, you know, I really don't know. You know, they haven't given, but it's like, and I don't think that's anything that would be proven either. But it's just one of those things that kind of, it's like, that dude reminds me of Ronaldo from Steven Universe.
No, me too, definitely.
But
I
like,
told you,
it would
he's
be
knockoff
really
Ronaldo.
funny
I've
if
been
it
calling
turned
him
out that
that.
he was a Wittebane.
Yeah.
Like, he does bear a certain resemblance to Philip when we saw him in the past, albeit without the beard.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I could see it.
Maybe.
And you know, it's just one of those little Easter egg things.
Yeah,
It's,
I mean, that would be interesting if he actually was. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't like his character. Like, he reminded me too much.
Nah, it's too much Ronaldo.
Too much Ronaldo. We don't need any more Ronaldo. One is enough. We don't need a
No.
second one. We really don't. Nobody does.
But it'll be interesting going forward, definitely, to see how all of this unfolds. I think
For
the
sure.
concept of the possessed hunter, like the design, the animation of that fight, like, was outstanding.
That design
I really,
was crazy.
really
when he
appreciated
was,
that.
Yeah, when he was half Bellows, half Hunter, that was really crazy. Like, even though I was like terrified and like about to have like a mental breakdown the whole time because I did not want that to happen to Hunter. I just want to protect him, and it was very traumatizing. And then on top of it, Flapjack,
Well,
R.I.P.,
when Hunter was
R.I.P.,
out too,
R.I.P.
it was
it was
like,
too much. It was too much to handle. But I did
mean,
like
like,
the design.
they definitely they spilled the beans a little bit. Well, Luce did, you know, and it was when he's out, they're like, call 911, and someone said, do human doctors know about clones? And then Camila's like, clones. And then Luce says, or Grimwalkers, and of course it's you knew it had to be Willow because she's Hunter's love interest, pretty clear to me now. And she's like, Grimwalkers, but much in the vein that Luce or that Amity isn't blaming Luce, and rightfully so. I don't see any discrimination from or anything feelings off going between Hunter and Willow with him being a Grimwalker.
No.
Because again, much like in Luce's case, it's not his fault. He didn't choose to be a Grimwalker.
Exactly.
Like,
And it's
Luce didn't know that she
Yeah.
was helping someone who was going to try to destroy the demon realm.
Yeah, and it
Her
makes me
natural
sad.
instinct was she saw someone in need and wanted to help.
And it makes me sad
And
that
she also
like,
wanted answers.
both of them just kind of are taking this on themselves, which I think is something that, you know, they're being realistic with this. If both of them were already over it and they were like, okay, well, now we're in the human world and we have to deal with, I guess Bellows lied to me all along, and I guess, you know, I was being tricked by Bellows. Like, if they were over it in a second, it wouldn't be realistic. So I like how
No,
they're
it
so
wouldn't.
processing the emotions of that. That's so accurate, again, to how old they are as well. I feel like, you know, they're young teenagers. Like, how are they supposed to process any of this crazy traumatic stuff? But I definitely think, I love that Hunter, in the end, really did, even though it was so hard, he did stand up for himself. And he was like, you know, I want to be with my friends. I want to feel like I have a normal life. And I think we've seen that slow progression of him and his character throughout the series,
Yeah.
and even with Luce. And
Well, and
it's
to
funny.
me, you know, yeah, like you said with Luce, that's where it started in hunting
Luce,
Talisman.
I'm afraid for Luce because you know how you mentioned Steven Universe before. I've been finding a lot of parallels between Luce and Steven. When it gets like mid-series during the whole arc with like Aquamarine and Topaz. I feel like what Luce
he tries to take the blame for his mother's, you know, supposed crimes.
Yeah, and I feel like what Luce is going through now is like I was saying during part 1 of like my reaction commentary for the premiere, I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna pull a Steven Universe. She's gonna pull a Steven Universe. I was expecting her to like try to go back to the demon realm alone and just be like, you know, this is my burden to carry. Like I was waiting for her to make like a choice like that and to like leave all her friends and be like, I need to deal with this alone. Like when Steven went to Homeworld and like he shagged everybody and they were like, why are you doing this? And he was like, because it's my fault. Because like you could see there is a little bit more of a darkness to Luce now that I feel has progressed since the time skip. And I don't know if that's her holding on. It's guilt.
It's guilt and angst, you know, and I think, you know, and Amity is kind of like the light. I think that's keeping her going in that regard, and the rest of her friends. I love how they referenced other characters in the designs. Like in the intro, Willow had the rainbow unicorn sweatshirt, which is very Mabel Pines from Gravity Falls.
Willow's looking super cute, I have to say.
And then with Hunter, one of his early looks in the opening credits was a reference to Rocco's Modern Life.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, which look?
The blue short sleeve shirt.
Oh, really?
The light blue. Yeah, it was a reference to one that was worn by Rocco.
Oh, well, oh my gosh. I did not even know that. I have to go back. I just remember in one scene, Hunter had on these freaking watermelon pajama pants. And I was like, Hunter, I need those watermelon pajama pants, like, in my wardrobe right now. I was like, where did you get those?
Well, and I think, I mean, they had some really cool, like, Hunter had some way out there styles that he did.
A-plus.
The last big point I want to bring up is Luce's Talisman.
Yes, we have to talk about that.
Now, this is a big deal because this is a Clawthorn Talisman. Luce and Eda did this together.
They did do it together.
So she had the egg, and then it went to a flashback of her when she was younger, and she found snake skin. Now, there have already been theories that Luce's Talisman was going to be a snake. If you look at the logo for the show, one of the lines on the H is a staff, and the O, which is above it from the word owl, has Albert in it. Well, the L from owl comes down, and right below it is the letter S in the word house. So it looks like a second staff, just inverted, and it looks like a snake.
It now, could be possible,
this appears to be, I think she's going to, you know, we know her mother's a veterinarian. I think she's going to be some sort of a healer for possibly demons, witches, talisman. You know, I think her talisman magic is going to be based on healing. Not in the same vein as Viney, but I think that it's going to be based on like healing to the potential form of restoring a life, because I do believe she's going to have to restore somebody's life. And I think it'll be similar to Lars in the fact that they won't come back completely the same. But, you know, I mean, this show, unlike Steven Universe, I do believe, you know, I mean, we did see a death in Steven Universe, and I think it's going to we're going to see that in the Owl House as well. You know, we've already seen, you know, Flapjack, but I think we're going to see. The only reason I don't believe that it would be Luce is because I think she's the one that's going to have to heal.
So you think Luce's
to restore
power,
whoever it is
going to be that she is a healer? Like she becomes.
I do believe she's going to be a healer. Yes, I believe she's going to have a snake talisman, and it's going to be used for healing. I was on the bat talisman train until that scene, when it showed the talisman egg, and the next scene was the flashback. And it was Luce unearthing snakeskin. And I'm like, that was pointed out to me that those went, one at right after I'm like, and we kept watching, and and it happened again, and another snake reference, and which was, from the first episode, and I'm like, doggone it, you're right. All right, you know what? I give. It's a snake.
It could be. I mean, I can't imagine like a snake palisman though. Like, how would that work? Like, I can't. Like, would it just?
I mean,
like,
I think about like voodoo traditions where where snakes can be used for healing purposes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a certain type of snake that is connected to like medicine and healing, and I think that's what we're gonna see.
Yeah, maybe. That would be cool. I mean, I was coming up with a silly theory. I was like, what if it's like another little hootie or another king? What if it's actually like a Titan talisman, which like would never exist?
No.
But it does have to be something like unique to Luce. And
yeah,
I think that would be really cool.
I do firmly believe it's going to be a snake at this point.
Well, I can't wait to see what it is. It's probably going to be really special. But I just want to say R.I.P. Flapjack. I'm so sad.
Oh, I changed I changed my profile picture on every one of my social media accounts to Flapjack after that happened.
Yeah.
And
Flapjack is just so cute, and it's hard to see such like a cute little palisman who's been like so sweet to Hunter too. Like, do such a it's like you even saw, and the way it was animated too. Like, you could see what Flapjack was just like, I know what I need to do, and I was like, no. I was like,
and the thing is, like, I do believe that with his energy living inside of Hunter, unlike the ones inside Belos that were all weeping and causing him to like deform and stuff, I think Hunter's going to thrive off of having that energy within him. And I think he may have wisdom from Flapjack and by extension from Caleb and from Evelyn inside of him from this. I think it'd be really cool if they kind of Star Wars us at the end and had like a ghostly spirit formed figure of Evelyn, Caleb, and Flapjack at the end, kind of, saying goodbye or whatever. Kind of like cool. Obi-Wan and Yoda and Anakin.
That would be pretty cool, actually. I agree.
But
have a lot more stuff.
That's about all I have got for now. I loved at the end when they went through the portal, and then you hear V say, "Dang it, Camila still has the keys."
I know.
And that was like the last moment, and then it cut to the credits.
But it is cool that she's holding.
That's so dramatic, and then like Dana just drops this little bit of humor in at the end. And I was just like, oh my god, that's incredible.
I like how they have V holding down the fort while everyone goes back to the demon realm disguised as Camila. I thought.
she can disguise as Camila. She can disguise as Luce. She's a doppelganger for whoever needs it.
Yeah, but that was smart to do that because it kind of solves the issue of like people are going to wonder where Camila went. So that's good that they at least have her there. But I thought it was a great premiere. I thought it was exciting. I wasn't expecting the second half to be that traumatic with everything that happened with Hunter and Flapjack. Like, I didn't think we would have anybody die, so that was really surprising. But I am excited to see what happens and to see what they're all going to do in the demon realm now, and to even see what it looks like you said.
We have no idea what they're going to find.
Yeah.
Which is why I believe they showed us the in-between through the portal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we'll be waiting until I believe January for the next one, so we got some time to put it all together before they air the next.
For sure.
The next part.
And we could definitely, if you want, we could do another one and we could brainstorm some more thoughts and theories.
We could try to like look it over and figure that out, as we get closer to premiere time.
If any of you guys want to come hang out and theorize with us, we'll be more organized next time. It's been a while since we live streamed together, so things were a little slow tonight, but it'd be great to chat some more about some ideas that we have about what's to come.
Definitely. Well, all right, so until then, though, I think that's a pretty good spot.
Yeah, me too.
I think we're pretty good. So
hopefully
I am going to go ahead and take care of my adult adult responsibilities here. So
me too.
I'd like to say thank you for joining me, and I look forward to doing this again in the future.
Yeah, it was great doing another stream with you, Steven. And thank you to everyone who tuned in. And if you watch late, please feel free to comment your thoughts and I will respond on my channel. And please check out Steven's Twitch. It's 16-Bit Steven as well. And we hope you guys have a good night.
All right.